Hello and welcome to the F1Stop show. I'm your host Sam Only, and this is episode 34. So, Brazil done and finished with that. Wes Spearman is here with me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks. And it's a lot lighter in the background today. We're recording on a Saturday morning as opposed to a Tuesday evening, which makes it different. But yeah, I'm good. We had a pretty decent race, I think, in Brazil. I mean, Brazil always throws up something, and it threw up quite a few things again this weekend. But yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Well, the final sprint race of the season in Brazil produced some, well, big surprises, if you like, with George Russell claiming his first win, if you like. Brilliant from him. And Mercedes as well as a whole. So, what do you think? What do you make of it?
I think it was easily the most entertaining sprint race of the season. That's not hard when there's there's only three on the calendar, I suppose. Yeah, I can't remember a single thing about the other two sprint races. I assume Verstappen won both. I think one was at Imola, one was at Austria. I'm not 100% sure on that. Um, yeah, I think this one actually provided some decent entertainment, some decent racing. Um, I mean, I think it helped that Friday qualifying before was just chaos, where you had Kevin Magnussen on pole, which is just insane. I think George Russell got P3 before he beached it, and then I think brought out the red flag. And then by the time the red flag was brought back in, it was raining, so no one could set a fast time. Um, and then yeah, I suppose it's a bit disappointing for Magnussen, given that I think he dropped down from first down to eighth. But it's still a point at the end of the day for Haas, I suppose. Yeah, a good race from George Russell, as you say, his first F1 win, if you like, not first Grand Prix win. Um, Still standing on the. Does he get a medal or a trophy or something? I think they get medals for these sprint races. I think first, second, and third. Yeah, there was contact between Alonso and Ocon, which Alonso wasn't too pleased with afterwards, saying, "Oh, one more race and then it's over with Ocon." But good luck if he thinks he's getting a better teammate next year in Lance Stroll. That's all I'll say on
Oh.
that. um, yeah, there are a few good battles. I think Russell and Verstappen as well for the race lead. Yeah, Ferrari's coming back into the mix again. They sort of brought, well, they sort of slight resurgence this weekend, I suppose. Red Bull was slightly off the pace. But overall, I think, well, as I said, easily the most entertaining sprint race of the year. I'm still not 100% sold on it, but if we have more sprint races like that, then maybe that'll convince.
Mm, well, I don't think we should have had sprint races in the first place, but hey, we've spoken about that in the past. And now to the race, which was very exciting because you had George Russell on pole position, and who better than your teammate to start with you? Of course, that's right. A Mercedes won too on pole for the first time this season. That was really exciting to see.
It's good to see Mercedes come back a bit. I mean, I suppose in a way a little bit sort of sad, if you like. It felt quite nice not having Mercedes dominance, but then over this year we've had more Red Bull dominance, I suppose. So it's nice to have someone else in the mix, especially over the last what 5, 6, 7 races. It's just been Red Bull and Verstappen. Um, yeah, it's great to see Mercedes back, sort of where they belong, I suppose, at the top of the grid, fighting for excuse me, fighting for race wins, fighting for podiums, getting those 1-2s. Russell in his first season outscoring Lewis Hamilton, who's been at the team since 2012, 2013. Um, it's a great effort from Russell, and he's got a long future. And assuming he stays at Mercedes, which I'm fairly sure he will for the vast majority of his career, he's going to win, well, hopefully multiple world championships.
And well, Russell pretty much start to finish, if you like, pole to win. I think it reminds me of Pastor Maldonado for Lotus in 2012. That was great. But yeah, George Russell start to finish plain sailing. But I think it was probably what happened behind him that was more talking points because I mean, in the first lap as well, Russell's gone, but well, Kevin Magnussen of Haas and Danny Rick, I believe, they had a coming together on the first lap as well.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think yeah, after the rest of the Mercedes were pretty much gone, leaving everyone else in the dust. They just brought so much pace this weekend. Um, but yeah, the collision between Danny Rick and Magnussen again, it just shows a bit of a decline on Ricardo's part because he just sort of put a wheel up on Magnussen's inside and didn't really commit to anything. It was far too late to go for a move.
Yeah,
Um, he obviously spun around Magnussen, took him out of the race, and then Magnussen trying to sort of control the car reverses into Ricardo. I mean, he wouldn't have known he was there. Ricardo tried to get out of the way, but wasn't quick enough. But I suppose it's only right that Ricardo was out as well, given that he caused the collision. Um, yeah, it is just a shadow of a move that, or a move from a shadow of a man that once was. And from what we've heard this week, he's almost confirmed as going back to Red Bull as a reserve driver. I think Helmut Marko confirmed that on German Sky Sports or something. But then I heard from Christian Horner this morning they haven't signed anything yet. So it's all on Daniel whether he wants to be Red Bull's reserve driver next year or not. Um, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's just sad, I suppose, for Magnussen, given the start of his weekend, pole position on Friday,
yeah.
dropped down a few places in the sprint. Understandable given he's in one of the slowest cars on the grid, and then to be taken out um, through no fault of his own, one lap into a 71 lap race on Sunday. It's just sad. It's going from hero to zero pretty much in the space of 3 days.
That, yeah.
Yeah, it hurts for Haas, given they could have been challenging for points this weekend as well, and the battle for eighth, seventh, eighth, I think it is, with Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, one of those teams, is quite close. Yeah, they want every point and need every point they can get because the higher up they finish, the more money they get, and the more that's going to develop the car and hopefully bring it back closer to that midfield.
So well that was that. Mercedes having fun. Hamilton having his battles with Carlos Sainz. Great to see as well. Um, in fact, Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari got third place, so it was a Mercedes and a Ferrari podium. Great to see the Spaniard on there. Um, but Red Bull this season, it's like they're a hero for one thing, but then there's always some sort of drama within the team, you know. And we had that on. There was an on-track issue as well with Verstappen. To put it into context, Red Bull gave team orders to say, Verstappen, if you're not able to pass Fernando Alonso, who's in front of you, uh, make way for your teammate Perez because it's like he has a better opportunity, a greater chance. And Verstappen said no, or something along those lines. What do you make of that? Verstappen disobeying team orders like that?
It's pretty horrible, I think, given that Verstappen's he's got nothing to lose really. He's won the drivers' championship. Red Bull have won the constructors' championship. He's fighting for P6 for crying out loud. um, and yeah, he won't let Perez through to claim crucial points at the end of the day in the battle for second in the championship because both Perez and Leclerc were both asking the teams to swap positions with the cars. So because every point I know battle for second, oh, is it that big of a deal? But for these drivers in these teams, it is a big deal. It's prize money. It's millions of dollars at the end of the day, I suppose. And I mean, first of all, hats off to Leclerc for coming back from the back of the grid up to P4 after that collision with Norris. A
Yeah,
fantastic effort from him, and
brilliant.
it was I think he was too far behind Sainz in the end to invert the cars. He was like 3 seconds behind Sainz for third place. Yeah, going back to Verstappen and Perez, yeah, I'm interested to see how their relationship as a driver pairing pans out. I can't remember when Perez's contract is up with Red Bull, either end of next year or end of 2024. Yeah, just thinking back to Perez being a good teammate, for example, like taking the fastest lap off Hamilton at Silverstone, I think last year. Um, Obviously holding up Hamilton in Abu Dhabi last year as well for a good
That
sort of
was
10, 15
very
seconds.
good.
One
That
of the
was
best,
very good.
one of
That was
the
very good.
best few laps of defensive driving I've ever seen. Um, and yeah, obviously, ultimately gave Verstappen his first world title last year. There have been a few instances of him doing similar things. I can't remember anything too major like those two examples this year. Um, yeah, I think I'd, if I was Perez, and I think he was pretty angry at Verstappen. I think this all goes back to Perez crashing out in qualifying in Monaco or something. This year, I think, where Perez won the race, which I think is a bit petty for Verstappen, especially now he's won the championship. Like, does it? His P6 is like 2 point or what, a 2 point difference between P6 and P7 or whatever it is. Um, which makes a difference for Perez, a huge difference for Perez, but literally makes no difference to Verstappen. And yeah, it was poor from Verstappen, and yeah, I'm interested to see how much help we'll get from Perez in Abu Dhabi if he needs any help to try and get the race win, but next year as well, especially if Perez doesn't finish second in the championship, because they're obviously level on points now. Leclerc and Perez both on 290 points.
Hmm.
I have seen one thing. What if neither of these drivers, if neither Perez nor Leclerc scores a point this weekend, and Russell wins with fastest lap, he'll actually get second place, which
Really?
is yeah.
Wow.
I think Russell's 25 points behind. He's on 265 points, I think,
Hmm.
in fourth. So yeah, obviously a win plus fastest lap, 26 points gets into 291. If
Yeah.
Perez and Leclerc don't score, if they take each other out, Russell could get second place. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's a possibility. You never know what happens in F1. Um, but yeah, just poor from Verstappen, and I'd like to have been in that team debrief at the end of the race just to hear what was going on, what was said, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see how, as I say, how their relationship pans out for the remainder of Perez's contract.
So this weekend, Abu Dhabi season finale, the Yas Marina circuit. Or is it Marina Bay? I always get it mixed up between Yas Marina.
Marina Base, Singapore.
Yas Marina is, yeah, yeah. Because it has a similar name, doesn't it? Anyway,
Yeah, that
we're back to the place where this time last year, the whole of F1 went into a meltdown because it was controversy. Um, race directors say, well, if you watch last year's Abu Dhabi race, you'll get the picture. But I think it's safe to say that it's unlikely anything like that will happen this weekend. But I think the
I mean,
interesting,
yeah.
go on.
Sorry, go on. I was gonna. There's less on the line, a lot less, because both championships are wrapped up. But the I suppose the only drama is if we get something that happens, or yeah, the same thing that happened last year, but this year, but with Perez and Leclerc.
Oh,
I don't see that happening though. I don't see that as big as a controversy.
no, but I think the big thing this weekend is probably, as you've said, Perez versus Leclerc, who finishes second, because you've said it already. Perez 290, Leclerc 290. Well, begs the question then, who are you going for this weekend? Perez or Leclerc?
It's a tricky one, especially given Ferrari's pace in Brazil. They were so much quicker than the Red Bulls, and for whatever reason, Red Bull just didn't have the pace. Whether it was strategy, whether it was just setup, I'm not too sure. Um, but I think I'll still go Perez. I think I mean hopefully Verstappen will now understand the importance of team orders, given Perez and Leclerc are in the same basically the same situation that Verstappen and Hamilton were in last year, 11 on points going into the last race. Um, I mean, if I'm predicting a Verstappen win, um, despite Mercedes again resurgence in pace, and Mercedes do have a good record at Yas Marina. But I just think Red Bulls over the course of the year they've been the quickest car on the grid by quite some margin, and although other teams yes are catching up to them now, um, I still think Verstappen and Red Bull are the quickest driver and team on the grid. Um, I mean, hopefully Perez can finish second, Leclerc third or something. Um, yeah, I'm predicting Perez to finish second. I think if it does come down to team orders, I think Ferrari will be the ones to implement that better than Red
Yeah,
Bull, just because
yeah.
obviously with what happened with Verstappen last week. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how close Perez and Leclerc are this weekend. Whether they sort of if they qualify next to each other on the grid, or second, third, fourth, or something. See what happens, because I suppose all the focus is now on them, and but to some extent as well, the battle between Mercedes and Ferrari in the constructors, because there's only about 19, 20 points between those two teams as well. And I think Mercedes are on 505, Ferrari 524 or something. Um, I think if looking back to the start of the season, after the first sort of few races, you think, yeah, Mercedes are a dead cert for third place in the constructors, but now they're battling for second. A good result from both Russell and Hamilton, and if one of the Ferrari drivers drops off a bit, then that battle could end up quite close. Um, yeah, I suppose the focus is now on those two battles for second place, and I'm going Perez for second in the drivers, and I think I'll stick with Ferrari for second in the
In the
constructors. I,
constructors.
I don't know. I think the constructors will be more close, actually, because obviously got more
Yeah.
points vying for it. But yeah, Perez for second in the drivers, Ferrari for second in constructors.
Okay. I think Ferrari will finish second in the constructors championship. However, in terms of a podium, Red Bull will get a double podium, but I think Leclerc will split the two winners. So Perez for third place, Leclerc for second, and Max Verstappen will win the season finale again, but legitimately, hopefully, not because of influence of race directors or safety car. Just saying. Anyway, in other news, danke, Sebastian Vettel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Sebastian Vettel is retiring last race of the season. Um, just great from Sebastian Vettel. A real, would you say, would you put legend on his name?
I'd say
Legend for
four-time
Formula
world
One?
champion. Yeah, four-time world champion. I think 53 race wins, the first of which was in a Toro Rosso in
Yeah,
2008. Um, Possibly, arguably, his greatest F1 win, taking a midfield team to the top step of the podium. Remarkable for such a young driver as well. Um, yeah, legend without question, I think. Especially with Red Bull winning those four back-to-back world titles. Um, didn't go quite as well at Ferrari, but had some good battles with Hamilton, I think, in sort of 17 and 18. Um, yeah, we'll go down as one of the greatest drivers in F1, and I mean we could see him come back. He's not he's mid 30, so we could potentially see him come back in a year or two. Who knows? Fernando Alonso did the same. Um, but yeah, it's just going to be sad not seeing Sebastian Vettel on the grid, because as I've grown up with F1, there's Vettel and Hamilton, and there's arguably a lot Alonso as well, have been sort of three constants in
yeah,
Formula One, and to see one of those, for I think it'll really hit when Hamilton goes, whenever that may be. We're only a few years away, I think, from Hamilton retiring as well. So it's hugely sad for F1 and Sebastian Vettel, but I suppose other drivers as well. Daniel Ricciardo not retiring, but what could be the last we see of him on an F1 grid.
yeah.
Mick Schumacher as well, being replaced by Hulkenberg. And Latifi as well, I
Mhm.
suppose.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll see him in F1 again. Um, but I hope Seb just gets a good set. I think all the drivers went out to dinner, spent like 600 grand at a restaurant or something ridiculous. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Um,
I did
And yeah,
see,
the
yeah,
picture.
I did see them gathering around a big table, and I think I saw I think I saw, yeah, I saw it. Everyone was seated somewhere. I think Leclerc, yeah, Leclerc was towards the front. So like, you're looking at it, and then Leclerc, you're looking at the drivers, and I think Leclerc's on the like the bottom left or something. And I think the question was, I don't know, who would you sit with or who would you serve food to or something like that. Um, well, speaking of, who would you serve food to? If you see the F1 driver sitting like that and you're a waiter, who would you serve food to?
Um, Probably Sonoda. I think he'd be the most sort of chill about it all and not too
Okay,
fussy sort of thing. Fairly young driver. I think Sonoda
okay.
would just be the easiest, not kick up a fuss or anything.
Yeah. Um, I'd probably, I'd probably serve food to maybe, mm, probably Mick Schumacher. I'd love to have a
That
conversation with
yeah,
him.
I was just thinking Mick would probably be my other one.
Yeah, Mick Schumacher. I'd love to have a conversation with him, you know. But yeah. Right then. So you'll predict, well, who's your pole sitter for Abu Dhabi then? Who you got on pole?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Hamilton for pole. I
Hmm,
mean, he's got to have a pole this year, surely. Magnussen's got more poles than Hamilton this year. Um,
hmm,
I just think, yeah, the pace that Mercedes, I think they were quickest in first practice as well. I think third practice is actually going on as we speak. I don't know who's quickest in that, but yeah, the pace Mercedes has shown over the last week potentially shows some proper resurgence in them, and it's not just Ferrari slipping down the pack. Um, yeah, I'm going to go Hamilton for the pole, but as I said earlier, I'm going to go Verstappen for the win. Be interesting
okay.
to see how that overtaking move works out.
Yeah.
Hamilton and Verstappen in Abu Dhabi again, not again. Um, and then also driver of the day. Are we going last one?
Well, we're actually gonna do two. So we're gonna do driver of the day and then one final top 10 finish. Yeah. Driver of the day and then one final top 10 finish.
I think who's going to get driver of the day will be Sebastian Vettel because I think loads of people will vote for him because it's his last race. And I think the same thing happened with Raikkonen last year as well, just on the basis of people voted for him regardless of the drive. I think the sort of actual driver of the day on sort of merit, if you like. um, I'm going to go Charles Leclerc, driver of the day, like actual
Yeah,
driver of the day, on merit, like gains the most place or whatever. But
yeah. Mm.
yeah, I think Vettel will be voted driver of the day, if you like. Um, and then top 10, um, as I mentioned, Verstappen first, Perez second, Leclerc third, um, Hamilton fourth, Russell
Overall?
fifth, Sainz sixth.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Where are we down to seventh? Norris seventh, eighth, Alonso eighth, Ocon ninth, Vettel 10th. Point in
Yeah,
his last race.
yeah. Okay. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, driver of the day, I'm gonna say Charles Leclerc. I think he's gonna I don't know, I think he's gonna have the better race than Sergio Perez, perhaps. I think if anything to go by, team orders for Ferrari wouldn't be too it will go smoothly if, you know, they were to say, oh, Science, can you give way for Leclerc? He has a great opportunity to secure second place. I don't think Science would, do what Verstappen did. Anyway, so yeah, Charles Leclerc for driver of the day, then Sebastian Vettel for driver of the day, and then top 10, Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Sainz. That is six. Is that six? Yeah.
Yeah, six. Yeah.
Then seventh would be Alonso. Eighth, Vettel, Norris. And then the top 10, let's put in Bottas. Yeah, Valtteri Bottas in Alfa Romeo. Well, we've got just under 10 minutes to go. So, what has been your what's been your highlight so far this season? What have you
Good
enjoyed the
question.
most?
I'm just trying to think back to all the previous races. Um, I know we've said, oh, it's been a pretty good race for most of them this year. But I can't think of any sort of standout moment, if you like. Um, so going all the way back to Bahrain when Leclerc won that first race, um, I
There's
genuinely
that.
can't think of. I might have to
There's
go with that actually. Yeah, can't
hmm
think of. I know I've had good races, but I just can't remember now. Now that you've brought that on me, no, I'm gonna have to go with Leclerc winning that first race. I genuinely can't think of anything else.
um this one might be a bit quiet, but I think one of my favorite moments, not the best, but one of my favorite, was just Guan Yu Zhou getting his first point in Monaco, I believe. Was it Monaco? Must have been
It was
Monaco
Bahrain. I
because he.
think he got a point on his debut in Bahrain.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
It must be Bahrain. I'll have to have a check. But he definitely got his first point because, right, first Chinese driver to get a point in Formula One. I think that was a very sweet moment. Um, yeah. So, what was anyone watching this? What was your favorite moment of the season so far? And well, yeah, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix this weekend. The race is tomorrow, Sunday. Hopefully, it's going to be a clean race. No safety car drama. No, well, you get what I mean. Yeah, just a clean race. So, I've been your host, Sam Oney, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Well, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and you can also email us at f1stopshow@gmail.com. So it's a goodbye from me, bye bye, and it's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
And we hope you enjoyed the Grand Prix this weekend.